Freaking fly. Why is it always a fly in every single one of my YouTube videos? Seriously. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. It is called the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. For those of you that don't know what it is, basically AuthorTube is a little online community of author bloggers and author YouTubers. And this is the tag in which people who are new to the community can kind of find out more about me. And, you know, just generally I thought it'd be a good idea, seeing as I'm a pretty new vlogger and all, to actually just show you guys a little bit more about who I am, what I'm doing, and all that jazz. So here we go. Question number one, how did you find out about AuthorTube? As I've mentioned before, I do spend an inordinate amount of time on YouTube, and I stumbled across AuthorTube on one of Lily Mead's videos. I believe this is actually one of her creations. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. From what I understand of it, it was set up in October, right at the end of October, just before NaNoWriMo of 2016, so it's pretty shiny and new. Question number two, what genres do you write in? Historical fiction. I've also written a novella, which was LGTB. The first novel just happens to be historical fiction. I really enjoy researching, and I do live in the past. As you can probably tell by the whole hair makeup thing, I'm really not of this time, which is fine. Question number three, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? The book I'm working on at the moment is in third person, but I was actually having a conversation on Twitter about this the other day, and even though this book kind of just happened to be in third person, it wasn't really a choice per se, I tend to naturally gravitate towards first person because a lot of the work that I do is quite introspective. I like to get quite granular and really focus on, you know, kind of the internal dialogue that's happening with my characters. It naturally lends itself to first person, but I'm really enjoying the challenge of writing in third. And I think because I'm writing dual narratives, it's quite useful having them both in third person. In terms of the category of my story, I would class it as adult fiction. I quite like grittier stories that are unafraid to be pretty dark and graphic where needs be. So my writing is the same, and you could probably call it new adult, but I really don't quite get that genre because it's either a young adult, which in my mind is like, well, an adult in my mind is like over the age of 18, but obviously young adult is really for like, I guess 16 plus. I don't know, I didn't read it, so I'm not the best to ask. So what the hell is new adult? Does that just mean like, I don't know, a less experienced adult? I mean, if that's the categorization, if that's what you would call it, then sure, it's new adult, but I'm really not sure what that is. And I've read a couple of blogs which are saying that new adult's really hard to define, which is exactly the problem I'm having, and that it's difficult for publishers to market, because I think a lot of people don't quite know if they do identify as new adults. So anyway, long story short, I write adult fiction. Question number four, are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? I don't know. First of all, can I just say, these terms are hilarious. I know that they're like well established now and people refer to them on a regular basis, and like NaNoWriMo make it a thing and everyone makes it a thing, but they are hilarious words. If I had to categorize myself into one of these three hilarious terms, I would say plantser. I tend to start off with plan. I don't make it super detailed. My notebooks are a complete and utter mess. I've seen some people who have these most beautiful, immaculate notebooks that have so much incredible detail. They're like 30 pages long. You know, this lovely, elegant handwriting, and I go, wow, I would love to be one of those people. Totally not. So yeah, I tried to do that. I just scribble some stuff down, have an outline. I have usually a very clear idea in my head of where I want the story to go. And then I start writing and it all goes to shit. So I think if I was to try and stick to religiously to an outline, I think I'd probably just get bored and feel like there was no room for creativity. And as a writer, I mean, creativity is the whole fun of it, isn't it? So yeah, plantser. Plantser, what a word. Anywho, question number five, are you a self-published, published, or yet to be published author? I've had things published before. So I work in PR and marketing, and that basically means that I've had articles published through work multiple times. I work in the edtech sector, so you can imagine how sexy those articles are. I have also had, my one little nice piece of publication was a fanfic piece, bizarrely, which I had published by the London Magazine Online, which I will link to below if you are interested. It was a mashup of Poirot meets Downton Abbey. So literally Poirot ends up at Downton Abbey solving a little mystery, which if you are a big Downton fan, by the way, I think you might like it, because it really tied into one of the lesser explored subplots that happened in one of the earlier seasons, so do check it out if you're interested. But otherwise, in terms of my novel, no, I am not published yet. I hope to be. I'm aiming for the traditional route, but that said, I could really be won over by the idea of self-publishing. I'm not going to do it as a backup plan. I think that's really insulting to people that choose, quite rightly, to self-publish because it's the right thing for them. But for me, I don't know, I just like the idea of being published and having somebody else worry about all of the marketing stuff. That said, as I mentioned before, that is actually what I do for a living. So I do feel like I could probably make a pretty good stab as a self-published writer and probably do okay, but yeah, I don't want to have to worry about all of that. It's my day job, so I kind of want someone else to worry about that for me for a change. Question number 6. What is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? I don't know, whoever takes me, if I'm going to be completely honest. The first thing I did when I decided I was going to take a serious stab at novel writing was I bought this bad boy. It's very big, very sexy. And I poured over the whole thing and I made, extensive notes on the agents that I was gonna pitch to when the day arrived. And I think at this point I'd written something like 10,000 words of my novel, so I had a long way to go, but it was just really nice to do something proactive, if that makes sense. Anyway, I would highly recommend that you buy this book if you haven't already. Alrighty, so question number 8. When did you start writing? I think, as a lot of people, I started writing from a really young age as a kid. When I was growing up, I couldn't quite decide whether I wanted to be a wedding dress designer, a vet, a Spice Girl, or a writer. Those were like the top 4, and depending on the day of the week, I wanted to be each one of those things. Obviously, try as I might, becoming another Spice Girl was going to be a bit of a challenge, but to be honest, when I think about it, I think writing was the one thing that I really thought I wanted to do for a long time. It just seemed so daunting to me, though, the idea that somebody would sit down and write this big, crazy, incredible world, basically, between pages, and it really intimidated me. I just felt like authors must be these magical, mythical creatures that nobody ever saw, nobody knew a writer. They just were. But then I think that changed when Jacqueline Wilson, who happens to live just a couple of roads away from me, I've never really met her, but she did come to school and did a talk once, and I was like, wow, writers are real, like real, flesh and bone real. They wear clothes just like we do. And then it kind of changed, I think, for me in the back of my mind. I can remember going home and had this really embarrassing story which I tried to write, and I showed it to my mum, and it was about like a leopard or something in the jungle, something tragic like that. Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to write, and here I am now, really. Feels pretty special. Question number 9 is, what was the first story you ever wrote? That dodgy leopard jungle thing. That's the first one I can remember. I probably wrote other equally dodgy pieces of fiction before then, but I clearly have blocked those out of my memory. Question number 10, what authors have inspired your writing the most? I mentioned Jeanette Winterson. She was a massive influence on that novella that I wrote. And I mean, if you haven't read Written on the Body, especially, God, it is life-changing. I highly recommend it. I mean, it's just so evocative, absolutely beautiful. Audrey Neffenegger, I absolutely love The Time Traveller's Wife. That was like, I think I devoured that in like a day and a half. I don't think I even ate. I was just so determined to get through that. I can't remember when it came out. I was a teenager at the time, but oh god, loved it. Diana Gabaldon, the author of the Outlander series, which I'm currently on book 5 of the series, and she's on the 9th or something like that, and oh god, I can't get enough of it. Otherwise, in terms of like actually informing my writing, it's difficult to say. Diana Gabaldon, definitely. Also people like Ian McEwan, On Chesil Beach especially. It's not a very long book, but gosh, that had such a profound effect on me in terms of my inspiration. So, oh god, yeah, and I could go on forever listing other authors, but that'll tide you over for now. Question number 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? Luckily enough for me, I work from home, so free time I do have a lot of, and there is a lot of flexibility with my time, so I write all the time. It's more a case of actually I have to force myself to get out of the house and do something sociable, because I'm a bit of an introvert, and I can spend days on my own company and be completely fine. So I have to like force myself to get out and actually have a life. So do you use a computer, typewriter, or stuff by hand? When I'm outlining, I tend to do it by hand. My notebooks are where I keep most of my ideas, and I have this cork board which is over here. I won't let you see it because it's kind of embarrassing, but I have a cork board which I pin pieces of paper to whenever I have like really sporadic thoughts that don't belong in like in a notebook. It's just there. So every now and again I'll look up and go, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and chuck it in there. But otherwise when typing, I do it on my dodgy, broken, dilapidated laptop tablet thing. Question number 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you're part of AuthorTube? I kind of mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but really just being part of a community. Writing's pretty solitary, and living away from home, I don't have tons of friends here, so yeah, I guess meeting people and not feeling on my own while I'm doing this pretty big, lonely thing. So, oh god, that put a downer on everything. No, just to meet people, to have people to share this process with, and to make friends, basically. So that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you found it interesting. I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty long video, so I'm sorry if it's really boring. I will try and cut out the boring bits. I will link you to the various YouTubers I mentioned, as well as where you can get the Writers and Artists Handbook and the page for the AuthorTube Facebook group so that you can join. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day and have a great week. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!